Welcome, everybody, to WBC Wednesday Breakfast Club. We are in the spotlight today talking with Breck Rice at ServRx or ServRx. Listen, we're going to get this right. I'm going to show the video, and we're going to talk with Breck right after this.
An injured worker comes into your pharmacy. What do? Do they have a PBM card? Who is their carrier? Will I have to make a bunch of calls to find out? Will I get paid? And if I get paid, will it even cover the cost of the drugs? Don't worry, just send the claim to ServRx. They will do all the work, guarantee payments, and you will even make more. Less work and more money. What do you have to lose? You are probably already contracted through your PSAO. All you need to do is enroll. www.servrx.com.
Okay, so that's the primer for ServRx. And this is Breck, who's going to explain all those acronyms and all of that so that we can understand who, what, when, where, how, and why. So tell me about it.
Well, thanks, Scott. And I believe I'm in favor with you.
Touche.
Yes. So yeah, thank you, Scott. You're great to have me on. I would love to tell you more about ServRx. Our primary focus for the last 13 years has been helping injured workers get their medication without any hassle or delays. In the traditional sense, if a injured worker shows up at a pharmacy that very same day that the injury occurred, they don't have any documentation. They just know that it's workers' comp and they don't have a copay for that because it's an entitlement program. And the pharmacy can then say, oh boy, let me see what to do with this. And so we take all of that hassle out of it, let the pharmacy go ahead and dispense the meds without any hassle to that patient, let them get the medications that are needed. And then they send the information over to us through electronic adjudication, just like they would any other pharmacy claim. But we're now mitigating their risk, right? We're going to pay that pharmacy up front, whether we collect on it or not. So sometimes we have to eat some bad debt, Scott, but it's all a part of the algorithm to make sure the patients are getting meds in a timely manner and that the pharmacy is mitigated from dispensing those medications. So it's revenue cycle management. It's a program that community pharmacies love. 2 out of every 3 independents use us nationwide for this service because we do take such good care of them and their patients. Now, the majority of those patients will end up falling into a network, a PBM or pharmacy benefit management company. Big PBMs that you've heard of are probably Express Scripts. You've got Caremark, which is now CVS Health, and then Optum RX. Those are the 3 big PBMs that manage about 80% of the lives here in the United States. So they kind of have a little bit of a monopoly going on there. But there is about 25 or 30% of those patients that will never fall into one of those networks. And so we can help that patient through the whole life of the claim. They may have several months of pain management or antibiotics and muscle relaxants and different things like that patient's going to need. And so 25% of the time, 30% of the time, we'll manage that for the entire life of the claim, 12 months, 15 months, however long that they're in the work comp system. The other 70% will eventually find a home within one of those 3 big networks. So we are a first fill solution, and then we help out those patients that don't have a network that manages it for them.
Okay. I thought the video was a lot. That was a lot. But I'm certain that for people who are in your industry, they know exactly what you're talking about, and they say, oh my God, ServRx, that's exactly what I need. How do I get in touch with Breck?
Yeah.
That's great. But for the rest of us, let's talk about that for a moment.
Sure.
So going back, you're talking about this service. I'm assuming that it is the pharmacy that is your end client, but that what you do benefits their client.
That is correct, Scott, and it goes way beyond that, since this whole coronavirus has taken us all by surprise here in the U.S. All of our clients, which are pharmacies, are essential businesses, so they needed to remain open to take care of those patients. And so we did a little bit of a pivot with ServRx to provide other solutions to help our pharmacy partners. We even provided a daily health screening where their employees could check in and make sure that they didn't have any of the symptoms of coronavirus. And we just gave that to pharmacies that were worried about that. I think the first pharmacy chain to get sued by an employee was Walmart. They had to fill a shift, and then they claimed that they caught the virus by going and filling that shift. And so we wanted to provide tools and solutions that would help, again, mitigate the risk of our pharmacy partners. And so we provided a tool like that. That then got us into to COVID testing. So we now supply pharmacies and now municipalities and businesses with free PCR COVID testing. So it's all covered by the CARES Act, so it doesn't cost the employer anything, doesn't cost the employee anything, and they can do weekly testing programs so that they can make sure they're staying on top of it. I don't know if you caught the president's 6-step program they just put out yesterday, right? Yes. And we're number 4 on there. That's you need to test regularly and often. And so we're providing programs that do that for, again, schools, businesses, church groups, organizations, cities.
Reminds me of that Chicago statement: vote and vote often.
Yes, yes.
But in this case, test and test often, and it's covered by the CARES Act, which is great. Do they have to be a ServRx customer already in order for you to offer these additional features and services?
No, not at all. That's a community service that we offer for the testing program. We do also have some rapid tests as well. So the PCR confirmations are, sent off to a lab for that confirmation, but then it's registered through a national registry. So if somebody's traveling, that's their proof of the negative test within the last 72 hours. So it's filling that need as well as just staying on top of testing. But we highly recommend that if you are an essential business, or if you have your employees back to work, back in the office or the warehouse or wherever, you need to have 5 or 6 of the rapid tests also on hand, because that'll give you results within 10 minutes.
Okay, so the rapid test within 10 minutes. You have to forgive me because I'm like the party guy. I can't tell you how often I have event planners asking me if they can test the guests before they let them into the room to have a, COVID-free zone, so to speak. Is that too small a group? I mean, if somebody has 100 guests and they want to do a rapid test on them, or is it not cost effective, or what do you think?
Not at all. We would provide that type of service. And what was interesting, I thought you were going to go the legal route, Scott. Like, can we legally ask? And I would say prior to COVID, absolutely not. You couldn't ask anyone to take a rapid test before entering the facilities. Since then, yes, it's absolutely a standard practice for a lot of events, including sporting events. And that's kind of another reason that we got into the rapid testing is back during March Madness and leading up to all of the March Madness tournament time for basketball. We were providing a solution for these little mini bubbles, right? The NBA had their bubble down in Orlando, and so we were providing a solution for these little mini bubbles so that teams could come in and be safe.
And some bubbles worked better than others, as we know. Yes. Okay, so you and I are going to talk offline about events because I want to keep the focus on you and ServRx. You mentioned these PBMs, and there are these, the big ones, if you will, like Caremark. But I'm curious, is it about you're fulfilling the need for those people who are out of network, or you are one of those networks that they might be in your network?
I'm so glad you asked, Scott, because
Oh,
that's
good.
really the next step, right? That's really the next step. So to our pharmacy partners, a PBM is really a four-letter word to them. Yes, they don't really like the PBMs because if you look at the history of the reason why there's a pharmacy benefit manager, there is a argument for them on the health side and on the Medicare and Medicaid side, because there's so many different planned versions, there's so many different options, and employees within their own employer provides them a solution, and they even pick the different programs that they want, and so that's all predetermined, but somebody needs to manage that. Your copay, let's say, Scott, you and I work for the same company, you may take a higher deductible, and I may take a lower deductible. I may have a different copay than you, and you would have a different copay than me, all within the same health plan, right? And so there's a need for somebody to get in and administer all of that. In workers' comp, PBMs just saw an opportunity to go in there and make some money. There's really not a reason for them to be in the middle of that. They're just a middleman taking their cut. And to be quite honest with you, it's a little bit unethical. Think about this for a minute. We have a client right here in town. They have 40 some odd pharmacies, and they're a grocery store chain. You can probably figure out who that is, and they're local right here. And today they have a PBM that's managing their workers' compensation pharmacy program for them. But let's say that one of their warehouse employees strains their back picking up a crate, and they go see a doctor. The doctor writes them a prescription for some pain meds and some muscle relaxants. They go to their own pharmacy, their own pharmacy who bought the medication, who has the overhead of the employees and counting the pills and doing all of the work, dispenses that medication. Then the PBM pays the pharmacy a very steep discount for that medication. So let's say that the average wholesale cost, or the AWP, another acronym for you, the average wholesale cost for that medication was $100. Let's say that the PBM reimburses the pharmacy $4 or $5, which is really quite common.
Wow. The
patient then takes the medication. Now that PBM sends the same company who owns the meds, who dispense the meds, who had the overhead for covering, getting those medications to the individual. Now they get a bill for $95 for that medication that they only pay. So it's completely upside down, right?
Does it sound like you're paying twice? Did I follow that correctly?
Yeah, well, you're actually dispensing your own medication for a steep discount and then buying it back at an inflated price. So our plan is just remove that middleman out of the middle of that, deal directly with the pharmacy partner and save yourself 35, 40% right out of the gate.
So you're looking for pharmacists. Would it be mom and pop pharmacy and those people that want to get fried? I mean, larger market chains, if you will, but possibly also, for example, I know a compound pharmacist, and she has, I think, 3 or 4 across the valley. Would she be a good referral for you?
Yeah, she'd absolutely. She would use us for the default processing or the revenue cycle management. For this new program that takes the middleman out of their back pocket, that's any self-insured employer group. So it's all the cities, they're all self-insured. You live in a city, you're a taxpayer. Are you okay with the PBM taking $50 on every prescription that gets dispensed? Not as a taxpayer, that just raises your taxes.
Well, I guess I need to introduce you to my contact at the city of Scottsdale.
Yes, you do. They actually just completed an RFP, and I've been talking to a gentleman over there that's a risk manager, really nice gentleman, we may be too late to save them this time around, but when that contract runs its course, then we can get in front of them and participate in the RFP. But we were too late for the RFP process or the request for proposal this time around. I think I reached back out to him saying, hey, if this could, literally buy you a new fire truck next month by using our program, would you put the brakes on and see if we can't get in there and help structure this better for you?
I love that analogy about a new truck and putting the brakes on. You're all very good, very good. You have this well thought out. Is this your company or you work for ServRx?
Yes, I'm one of the founding partners. I am a minor owner, majority shareholders with two of my partners, our CEO and our COO. But the namesake ServRx is even my name. I was with a company, the grandfather of our industry for revenue cycle management. And that company was actually eventually sold off to OptumRx. They went to the dark side. And so I had some non-competes where I couldn't join immediately. And so I was able to ride out my non-compete and then join my partners 2 years later. But like I said, even the namesake is mine. And I'm out of all of the operators, it would be, the ownership would be between the three operators, our CEO, our COO, and then I'm the Chief Revenue Officer.
Excellent. So you're in the know.
I am.
Are you just here in Arizona, or is it a nationwide organization?
Yeah, so we're national for the retail pharmacies. Like I said, about 2 out of every 3 independents use us. And then we work with a lot of regional chains too. A lot of the grocery chains that also have their own pharmacies in them too.
Excellent. Okay, so you are totally B2B, which is business to business.
Yep.
But the way you describe your service, it is really people oriented. Because even though you're helping the pharmacist and they are your customer, it's almost like everything that is in this system is designed to benefit the pharmacist customer, which is the individuals who need those services.
That is correct.
And that is such a lofty goal, because most B2B, they really just focus on who is their customer, and they don't think about who their customer's customer is. And so that puts you in a really unique, can I say, altruistic position?
Yeah, I hear stories every day about independents that were struggling to even survive because their reimbursements just get cut lower and lower every year. And they found our program and they were able to get a fair reimbursement, and it saved their business. I mean, we literally hear that on a daily basis that an independent pharmacy in Oklahoma somewhere was saved because now they have a fair reimbursement and can get paid what they should get paid for those medications.
That is just outstanding. Putting on your genie hat for the future. I don't know if you like to foretell the future, but is there a future for independent pharmacists, or is it really just going to be glommed up by Walmart and the rest?
Yeah, no, there's a very strong independent community, almost between 20 and 23,000 independents nationwide. And that there's ebbs and flows, right? Walgreens will come in and buy 300 or 400 independents, but then you'll have 300 or 400 students coming out of pharmacy school that don't want to go the corporate route. They want to own their own pharmacy. Or you'll have a staff pharmacist at a chain that is disenfranchised. They believe they can help the patient better if they're not a part of some huge organization that says there's only one way to take care of this patient. So you'll always have your ebbs and flows, but it'll always remain somewhere around, 20,000 independents. A lot of them are very community focused, right? So they're really looking at alternative methods for their patient demographic. And so they'll get into more than just dispensing prescription meds. They'll get into health and wellness, which I bet your compounding pharmacy friend is really on board with.
You just rang my bell because that is really popular here in Arizona.
Yes.
Some refer to them as the woo-hoo crowd, the woo-woo, thing. NP, is that right? Naturopath?
Yeah.
Okay. I actually visited a doctor recently who was a regular MD that had the NP as part of his designation, which was very rare because they don't normally live in the same space.
Yeah, absolutely. I was in San Antonio, Texas, just 2 weeks ago with a neurosurgeon that has all of these patients that are trusting him to operate on their spine and around their central nervous system. And he has a healer in his office. I said, what exactly is a healer? He says, you know what? I was skeptical at first, but I tell my patients now, if she tells you to put blue paint on the bottom of your feet and walk around in a circle, you just do it. You just do it, because whatever she is doing, it helps and it works. And he said our biggest, or he said his largest patient load to her, or referrals to her, are his own employees. So it's all his PAs and his nurses that say, I've got to go see the healer. I've got this little ache or pain.
Wow. I think that medicine benefits from keeping an open mind. So I'll just leave it at that. Any closing thoughts? I got to let everybody know kind of thing before we wrap this up? Yeah,
no, I think everyone needs to know that there is a better solution out there, whether it's whatever they're doing today. What is it? It's the old saying that the sign of insanity is continuing to do what you've always done and expect a different result.
Right.
And that's the same with this whole pharmacy solutions for self-insured employers. Keep doing what you've always done, and you'll just continue to see the costs go up and up and up. And that's being driven by those PBMs. They want a bigger margin, so they help drive the costs up. Your independents, back to your independent question, will they survive? There is a big wave of pharmacy owners that are now going cash pay. They don't even take major insurance because guess what? The patient quite often pays less for the medication by paying cash than what their copay is. Why do you think that is, Scott? It's because the PBM wants their margin. Wow. It is so dishonest, but there will either be huge someday and really restructure, completely restructure the whole pharmacy benefits industry, or they'll kill us, right? They'll stomp on us. Well, no stomping. Okay, if you're going to survive. And I can tell, I hear the passion and the excitement of what you are doing and how you're helping people in your voice and in this time we've shared together. Thank you so very much, Breck. Hey, thank you, Scott. It's been a pleasure.